All right. What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Bernie here, back again on the Charge live stream daily show, episode number 2. Of course, we got to talk about some things here on the Charge, but hopefully you guys are doing all right out there. Kind of work stuff right now, dealing with right now, but hopefully you guys are enjoying your Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday evening if you are on the East Coast. But welcome in again to the Charge. Like I said, we're a live streaming type of service, giving you the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions each and every day from Monday through Friday. Of course, Tuesdays and Thursdays for next week are going to change. They're going to, of course, be on the days of from 7:30 to about 8:15. 8:30. I'll try to push it to 8:30. So that's Tuesday and Thursday starting next week. That's where our Tuesday and Thursday schedule is going to be. And it's going to be the same thing for tomorrow. Just have a doctor's appointment that I have to take care of. So that'll be tomorrow as well. Kind of the same schedule there. But you know what? Hopefully you guys are doing okay on the channel. Of course, guys, we have upgraded. We have done a lot of different things here on the Charge. Of course, we have a new background. We have some new animations to kind of come up. So if you donate, of course, again, completely optional. You don't have to donate, but I will be providing a link in the description down below if you guys are interested in donating to the channel. But the one thing that I do request from everybody here is to go to YouTube, find the Charge. You should be able to see our symbol, and I want you guys to hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. We want to make sure that this channel grows. We want to, have everybody kind of here discussing some NBA news and rumors, and so that is what I'm going to be asking for here today. But nevertheless, let us get started here on the Charge with our first story of the day, and that is, of course, the Lebron James, Kyrie Irving love-hate relationship. It seems like this love-hate relationship continues to go on and on for a numerous amount of years, so let's get started on looking at our first story. And, of course, our first story, like I said, is LeBron James hurt by Kyrie Irving's best option in clutch moments. So we know one thing for sure is that LeBron James responded to comments made by Kyrie Irving approximately 2 months ago about Kevin Durant's ability in the clutch, which may took criticism of James by omission. One thing I've always been comfortable with, I feel like I was the best option on every team I played for down the stretch, Irving said on a podcast. This is the first time in my career I looked down and been like, man, this mother blank can shoot that too. And he's probably the best to do it a lot easier. It's not so much deferring because in past situations where I didn't take the last shot, I felt guilty. I want this to be the game-winning shot, but I also want you to trust your teammates. Not that I didn't trust my teammates, but I felt like I was the best option. James' comments were made on the Road Tripping podcast. Of course, I feel like there's been a lot of, kind of to skip Bayless points, there have been a lot of kind of earth-breaking or more so LeBron James points made in this type of podcast, the Road Tripping, rather than like his shop or whatever else he kind of does. But this is what he said. He was a little like, damn. Once I got the whole transcript, I was like, damn, James said, adding that he made sure to read Irving's full comments before reacting to them. I was like, oh, you tripping. I've hit game-winning shots my whole career or my whole life. I would not like that. I was like, damn, because I played with Kyrie for 3 seasons. The whole time when I was there, I only wanted to see him be the MVP of our league. I only cared about his success. And it didn't align. It just didn't align. And we were able to win a championship. That's crazy thing. We were still able to win a championship and we could never align, but I only cared about his well-being both on and off the court. And you know what? I think for Kyrie Irving, I think what he needs to really look at here, and just LeBron James as well, is that we know that Kyrie Irving talks one way out the mouth and out the other. It seems like he's never straight with his answers. It seems like he's never really focused on really giving us the clear-cut options and opinion of what he's saying. There's times where I'm like, Kyrie Irving, you are literally the best player on the court. Why are you even talking? And it was the same thing that I talked about for the media. I think what I get disappointed in when looking at this whole thing is the fact that I know that LeBron James has hit many game-winning shots. I know that he's a clutch player. But all of a sudden, it seems like the league, or it seems like Kyrie Irving and the rest of the league just kind of forget about that. And I think to LeBron's point, and just kind of to Kyrie Irving's point, or just like what I had to say about this, I think Kyrie Irving, I should say, LeBron James needs to realize that, look, you can give anybody the best things in life. You can give them a car, you can give them a house, you can give them whatever. But some people feel some certain type of way when you don't give him the credit. I'm not saying this is what LeBron James does, but that's how Kyrie Irving feels, and that's kind of the reason why I think they don't align, is because I think Kyrie Irving feels that LeBron James has an agenda, which I'm sure he does. Just like the same thing, I feel like Kyrie Irving has an agenda. I feel like all these players do have agendas, and they need to realize that their agendas probably don't align with one another. So that's where I kind of get disappointed with LeBron James. It's like, you know what? I would just brush it off. I mean, Kyrie Irving was never really he never really seemed like he was really for the team. He really just seemed like he was a me guy. And that's really sad to say, because I think Kyrie Irving could have been a really good player, could have probably still stayed in Cleveland and maybe played a couple more seasons. But, you know, it's just frustrating to see that this is kind of the scenario that we're in right now, where LeBron James is hurt by the comments of Kyrie Irving. And then really he should just be brushing them off. Because at the end of the day, it just doesn't make any sense to me why you would kind of lower yourself to the standards of Kyrie Irving. Like, look, I understand that when it comes to your peers, you feel a little bit more vindicated, or you feel more inclined to respond because they are someone that's kind of at your level in terms of, like, you know, an NBA caliber athlete questioning you and saying that you're not the best. And so that's kind of where I'm interested to know what your guys' opinion on this is. Because at the end of the day, if I'm Kyrie Irving, you know, it's one of those things I would tell my publicist, make sure that I don't say anything dumb, because you don't want to look like a fool in this situation. So just let LeBron James kind of have the last words on it, and don't really mention it. I mean, we also got here, he says it kind of hurts him a little. Irving's comments were unavoidable as they occurred during the finals. It seems like Kyrie Irving always is talking, no matter what time it is, whether, let me just see this really quick. Oh, whoops. I didn't realize I was opening this. My fault, everybody. But kind of the same thing that I've kind of talked about throughout this whole stream as of right now, is that I just think that Kyrie Irving at this point needs to understand and realize that he needs to just not say anything. You don't have to make your comments known. You don't have to keep doing things that are going to upset people. I just think that at this point of his career, I think Kyrie Irving needs to realize that this is just not okay what he's doing, and that he needs to kind of relax a little bit, because I think at the end of the day, the only person you're really hurting is yourself. You're hurting your teammates, your new teammates, and if you don't make it to the NBA Finals, your team is going to be looked at as a bust. And so Kyrie Irving needs to kind of understand that and realize that. But we will find out in the near future if that's going to be the case. Just texting a couple things really quick as we kind of continue talking about this story. And yeah, and like I said, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys make of this whole Kyrie Irving story? Do you guys agree with what Kyrie Irving says? Do you not agree with him? And also, what do you guys think of LeBron James' reaction to the story? Is it something where you would be reacting to it if you were LeBron James, or do you think you kind of brush it off and don't really talk about it as much? I mean, the thing that sucks about it is, of course, that these two were seen as once as like little brothers. Like, LeBron James looked at Kyrie Irving as like a little brother, and then all of a sudden Irving's like, nah, you're not part of my family, or I don't really trust you like that. And I just think that at the end of the day, it hurts everybody. It doesn't really make anybody feel good. And I just think that it sucks, because I think Kyrie Irving could have actually, been a better player with LeBron James than I think he is right now. I was hoping that in Boston he would be a different player. I thought that he would be someone that I could see potentially grow and develop and be someone that could, potentially change the league, this 2-1-2 combo. And even just in Boston, I thought that Kyrie Irving could have done a much better job with our youth players. And at the end of the day, they just didn't do it. And then that's the reason why we're stuck the way we are right now, with the way that Kyrie Irving potentially just left our team, and now we just kind of look in shambles the way that it is. So at the end of the day, we'll see what happens, but I hope that these two resolve it, because it seems like there's always some pettiness going back and forth between these two. So we'll see as we continue to kind of monitor the situation and kind of look at what Kyrie Irving says and what goes on, how this is all going to transpire. But like I said, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys make of this story? Do you guys think it's a no big deal? Do you guys think it's a big deal? Like I said, let me know in the comment section down below. But let's continue to look on and see if there's any other stories from Real GM to kind of talk about. This story just continues to keep on giving, and that's, of course, James Harden officially came back to Houston, came back to the Houston Rockets facilities, and started to go into the protocol of taking his COVID test. And we know that he was working in the University of Houston before taking trips to Atlanta and Las Vegas. So we know that James Harden has been visiting those places, Atlanta and Vegas, obviously, with his friends, and just hanging out there without a mask, COVID COVID party 101. I mean, to me, honest with you guys, it's just getting really disheartening. And I think a lot of people, and I know that the league will get into the story about James Harden and what the league wants to have happen. But, I just think it just kind of goes to show you that Harden was really the toxic culture in Houston that, according to him, he's, trying to get rid of. Kind of views them as the Knicks of the South. Meanwhile, I'm seeing James Harden here living it up in Atlanta, in Las Vegas, without a mask, kind of chilling, living his best life. I get it. And like I said, and I talked about this in the first episode that we had here on The Charge, right? It's a bad optics look when you are a high celebrity, well-paid athlete having access to things that other people don't. When you're celebrating with friends at a strip club or a club, whatever you want to call it. Meanwhile, you are, like I said, you're living your best life. You're not really caring about the restrictions. Meanwhile, you see people getting antsy. There's people that are dealing with a lot of things because of this COVID situation. And the fact that you're here partying with the baby or little baby, it's just kind of getting, a little bit frustrating if I'm one of those fans of these groups. Because like I said, at the end of the day, I would hate to see what happened. I would hate to be in that situation where, maybe one of your guys gets, maybe someone that he knows gets COVID and then ends up being in the hospital, ventilators. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that, James Harden really needs to think about. This is more than just about himself. And I get it, when you're a celebrity, when you're rich, when you have this clout, when you have all this power that, a normal person doesn't have. I get that you want to be your own guy. I get that you want to do your own thing. You want to live your best life. But at the end of the day, it's just kind of, I would say, a frustrating thing if I'm one of his teammates or if I'm even associated with James Harden in the camp. He has too many yes men around him. It's just like, I just don't want to see that. I don't want to see the yes men around him. I want the people there to hold him accountable for the actions that he's doing on the court. Well, not just on the court, but off the court as well. I mean, there should have been someone being like, hey, you probably shouldn't be going to Atlanta and Las Vegas celebrating. You should really be in Houston. Like, even if you want to say, like, I want to trade. I want to leave the Houston Rockets because at the end of the day, I don't like where the team is going, and I think that they're a toxic environment. I get that if that's the way that you feel. But at the end of the day, if the way that you're feeling and the actions that you're taking are not reflecting on, I want to get out of there and I'm not a toxic culture, because all the actions that I'm seeing here is just toxic culture from James Harden that is now saying, what, he's obviously now he's expanding his list of what teams he wants to be on. If I'm Houston, I'm chilling. I'm not trading you. I mean, yeah, I'm going to lose value, but it's like at the end of the day, what I get frustrated with this whole time is the way that you are just handling the situation. And Tyrese, hey, how you doing, man? Just saw your comments. Nobody wants to change for James Harden. He's too controlling. The only teams that want him, if they can sign him, just like when the Celtics wanted to trade for Kyrie and no one wanted him, the same with James. Yeah, I mean, I think James Harden's getting to that territory where he's looking at as a Russell Westbrook. I mean, we all kind of criticize Russell Westbrook for his shot demeanor or for his shooting, his demeanor, kind of the way that he's been approaching the game. Meanwhile, we really should have been looking at James Harden, who, of course, he hits the step back threes. He has all the great moves. But it looks like he doesn't really take care of himself the way that I think he should. And obviously going to Atlanta and Las Vegas is definitely not a way that you are taking care of yourself. And so at the end of the day, it is frustrating to see that James Harden and Kyrie Irving are kind of two peas in a pod. And, if they end up on the same team, it makes sense. But like I said, what's frustrating to me about this whole situation, in my opinion, is just kind of the fact that we're seeing a toxic environment with him. We're seeing a situation where I think that he could actually be a good player. I think he could even be a great player. But at the end of the day, if he doesn't want to take this stuff serious, then I will be, it's just kind of a sad state of affair, in my opinion. And so we'll see what happens. I'm curious to know your guys' opinion on this. I mean, James Harden, do you guys think that he will be traded? He has to go through protocols. We know that rival executives have begun chattering about wanting the NBA to intervene on the Harden situation as it amounted to a holdout. I think this is just a toxic way of getting your way out of Houston, just as you think that Houston is a toxic environment. And before we go continue on to our story, let me grab some water really quick, and I will be right back. Probably play some music in the background as I'm grabbing that, so you'll be hearing that.
We do it for the love, love, love. Ain't no doubt about it. We do it for the love of the game.
Mama said I'm lovesick, maybe I was ill. Cupid hit me with an arrow, how else could I feel? Wasn't for the money, never cared about they fashion. Pain in my voice, you could tell it's a passion. Moving like an avalanche, going through the aspens.
Alrighty, sorry for that, ladies and gentlemen. Just had to grab my water really quick, so apologize for the stream right there. But yeah, let's keep discussing. Let's keep looking at it. You know, we got rival executives began chatter. This is also something that we need to talk about as well. Tyrese, he's a silent Kyrie Irving, but the same thinking mentality with James Harden, but doesn't call teammates out. I exactly agree with you, Tyrese. And they say no one wants to give a boatload for him. Yeah, I mean, like at the end of the day, Kyrie Irving and James Harden are two peas in a pod. They act the same exact way when it comes to not getting their way. They're the same people that'll cry foul when they don't get the way that they want. And they'll blame the media. They'll blame other teammates. Meanwhile, they really should be looking at themselves as to why they're not succeeding, as to why they feel this sort of negativity. I mean, we have some Twitter quotes from Durant today that we probably will talk about. It seems like he's subtweeting at people that have opinions and kind of saying, like, why do they have opinions? Why should they have opinions? And we'll talk about that a little bit later. James Harden for Dylan Brooks, Sean. I mean, if you want basically a better version of Dylan Brooks, but probably makes your teammates worse, then sure, go ahead and take James Harden. I think you guys are much better off with Dylan Brooks because at least John Morant can control the ball. Meanwhile, I feel like James Harden will control the ball for the most part. But let's read this article here that execs want the NBA to intervene. So James Harden may have already begun his violation of uniform player contract as he reports to training camp with the Houston Rockets as he continues to seek a trade. The Rockets likely don't want the situation to escalate at this point as it would involve the union. I'll tell you this, Mr. McMahon, said Zach Lowe. I've already heard from, I don't know, 3 or 4 people out in the blue today who do not work for the Rockets but work for 20 other 9 teams saying the league has to step in and do something about this. This is not okay. This is going to become the latest referendum of player empowerment, and when does it go too far? I think it's nuanced and fascinating topic, but it's already spinning out of control. The Rockets are clinging hope of convincing James Harden to remain with the franchise. And Tyrese said superstar treatment got to them. James Harden wasn't like this in OKC, saying that the Kyrie Irving one ship. Yeah, I mean, I just think that when we look at the whole situation at hand, when it comes to the Houston Rockets, when it comes to James Harden, look, I am all for the player empowerment movement. If you think that you want to be on a different team, you want to be with your star players, if you want to have a chance to win the championship, I am okay with you being like, you know what, I'm formally putting in my name to request a trade. So here's I'm not going to list the teams, but hey, I'm looking to get a trade. If you want to work with me, that'd be great. And I think it's just kind of one of those business things as I kind of remove this, as it's so hot in here. But at the end of the day, what I get frustrated with James Harden is just the way that he is not really taking this sort of role responsibly, right? Going to the club is just like, I will keep saying this until the cows come home. It's one of those things that I don't understand why the NBA hasn't fined him for that. I understand that you haven't started the season yet. This stuff probably retroactively activates in the season, but at the end of the day, James Harden might have contracted COVID, not wearing a mask, celebrating at a club. Doesn't matter, kind of the situation. He's not going to be, socially distanced with everybody. I think that's kind of also something that people forget. Like, yes, masks work, but you also have to socially distance as well. And I just don't think that James Harden's doing that. And I just think that that's where I'm getting frustrated with, and sort of my ease to kind of say like, oh, you know what? Got to get those wings. I guess they got to get those wings. And Tyrese, you said, Houston called you and you were Boston. You say we want Brown and Smart in the first rounder. I'm not doing it. Nope, not at all. I don't want Jason Tatum to get those bad habits from James Harden. I feel like James Harden will give bad habits to Jason Tatum. He'll give bad habits to many of these other players that I just think that the environment's already toxic in Boston with Danny Ainge. Let's not add another toxic environment with him and kind of create this sort of scenarios where we see, the Boston Celtics turn into the Houston Rockets of the Northeast. Northeast. I don't want to see that happen. And if Kyrie Irving, not Kyrie, but If he wants to act like that, go ahead and act like that on a different team. You're not doing it on the Boston Celtics. I refuse to have him on the team. I get that he's a talented player, but you have many, many, many players telling him to act a certain way, stepping up his act. But it just seems like it's the same thing each and every time when it comes to James Harden. It's, we want you to not do so much ISO. And I just think that you're going to get those bad habits from there. Danny and Smart, the front office guys. Yeah, I mean, it's getting to a point where I'm just sick and tired of the environment. I'm sick and tired of the culture that is not only in Boston, but James Harden would just make it 10 times worse. And I know that James Harden is a once in a generation talented player, or a decade talented player, but it's just not worth his sort of headaches and dealing with this stuff. I mean, let's say he says, you know what, I don't like Boston anymore. I want to demand a trade. I mean, he's going to still do the things that he wants to do. And I just think, like I said, it's a bad look. You don't see LeBron James doing that. You don't even see Russell Westbrook and John Wall doing that. So I need James Harden to really step up his act. You're what? James Harden is almost 30 years old, right? Let's see how old James Harden is. And this isn't about ageism or anything like that. But James Harden's already 31 years old at this point of his career. He's acting like he's 27, 28. When you need to step up and start acting your age and not going out to the clubs, not doing this stuff when you should be in, if you don't want to trade, stay in Houston, work out at the Houston facilities and do the things that you want to do with your friends socially in silence, because I don't need to see you at the club. I don't need to see these Instagram stories, these Snapchat stories. If you want to do that stuff, that is okay with me. Do it in a safe way. Do it in a way that's not going to harm other people. But you going out to the clubs, you being on Instagram, you being on Snapchat, it's just one of those things that I just get kind of irritated with when it comes to James Harden, because I thought he could have been a really good player. I thought Oklahoma City shafted him, but it's just, I'm just so sick of it, man. And Tyrese, you say, I bring that up because we were the only teams with assets in the opposite conference who. I just don't want to make that deal with him. I think he should just wait until he's a free agent, in my opinion. Oh man, the yawning has just got to stop for me. But you say, yeah, James Harden's 31, already crazy that he loves Lil Baby, and then yeah, I mean that's just kind of his thing. Give Lil Baby 100,000 and a bag full of honey buns. Yep. It's kind of one of those things where. James Harden, he's a great player. He's talented, but at the same time, he's really doing a disservice to his teammates and also to the organization. Because do you want to make him your face of your franchise when he's not acting like it, when he's not doing the things that the face of a franchise would do? I don't see this behavior coming from even John Wall. I've heard some stories about John Wall, but at the moment currently, he's not doing the same thing as James Harden. I don't know if NBA players are giving him a pass, but it just seems like there's being a pass given to James Harden compared to other players. We criticize Russell Westbrook for shooting too much, but we don't criticize James Harden for being out with Lil Baby and, some ladies of the night, right? We don't criticize James Harden for that, but we do criticize freaking, LeBron James for not being clutch, or we criticize Russell Westbrook for shooting too much, for getting triple doubles. I would rather have my guys be criticized on the court, but off the court, that should just be a no-go for me. James Harden needs to grow up. You're 31 years old. If you don't want to be in Houston, just say it and just work out by yourself. Instead, all I'm hearing and what I'm seeing is you're working out. Obviously, you're working out, so that's at least there. But at the same time, it's one of those things where I'm just seeing James Harden not really taking the responsibility seriously. He's one of those guys to me that just gives off I'm in the NBA. I like the perks of being in the NBA, but I don't want to, achieve the status of getting to the championship. And maybe he lost that when they missed 27 threes in a row, and that's kind of where James Harden fell out in favor or out of love with what's going on in the NBA. There was that one year where he just came back in physical prime condition, and then all of a sudden now it just seems like he doesn't care as much as I think that he should. He's kind of one of those guys that I would love to, have on the show and talk to him and kind of get his perspective on things, because I would love to know. And this is me trying to not be a yes man to James Harden, because I think James Harden has way too many of those people around him. He needs someone to really get into his ear and tell him, hey, look, man, right now you're not acting like a superstar player. You're not acting like the face of a franchise. Right now you're acting like someone who could give two rips about what's going on. You give 2 rips about what is going on. Don't rule out the Raptors. Yeah, Raptors could be an interesting scenario for him. Be out there with Drake in Toronto. Well, I guess Tampa Bay, because that's where they're going to be playing at so far. Sorry, just keep drinking some water. But yeah, I just think what I find frustrating, he needs to come on the show. He does need to come on the show, and so do you, Sean. Like I said, you're invited anytime, along with my boy Brad. I'm not sure if he's listening in right now, but more than welcome to come on the show and talk it out with me and kind of talk about this James Harden fiasco. Even talk about the LeBron James thing. But kind of getting back to the James Harden thing, I just think that it's time for him to have an intervention, to grow up, and to kind of realize, like, look, man, this is some serious business. You're in the NBA for such a short amount of time. Why not make the most of it? And you know, I give a lot of credit to a lot of the people that are on Twitter. I can't remember. It's Cuffs Legend, I believe, is the guy. Let me double check and make sure if this is the guy that we're talking about. Let's see on Twitter. Let me just make sure that this is the right dude. Yeah, Cuffs the Legend. You know, I go to his Twitter. And you, babe, of course, you're going to come on the show and talk some stuff as well whenever you want to, when you're not working, of course. But he kind of talks about it, that some players are really in it for the perks of the league. They're not really in it to be this sort of superstar player. And that, to me, is the frustrating part about the whole scenario and what's going on at this moment. Because at the end of the day, it just creates this scenario where a lot of people are frustrated. A lot of people are angry. And I just think that if James Harden doesn't want to be there, why should I even bother listening to your request if you're just not going to be, a guy that listens to the team? If you're going to be a guy that if something doesn't go your way, you're going to quit, why would I even be part of it? You know, I felt like the Houston Rockets did everything they could to get James Harden the players that they wanted, to get James Harden the coach that he wanted, to get James Harden all of these assets and all of these things. And I think the way that James Harden returned the favor is going to the strip club and hanging out with Lil Baby. And that to me is just not okay. And I just think that at the end of the day, James Harden needs to grow up a little bit. 31 years old at this point. It's time. It's time to really mature. And if you want to win, if you want to be a player in this league, then you should go ahead and work out, get into shape again, and to kind of be with your team. But if you're a guy that's like, I'm all about the money, why wouldn't you just sign that extension in Houston and make the most money that you can? Because it seems like that's really what you care about at this point. Because these moves and everything that you're doing, every kind of action that you're doing, I don't agree with. And maybe people in the comment section will, maybe I'm wrong about that. But at the end of the day, it is frustrating to see what is going on in H-Town right now. Houston right now, they're probably frustrated with their superstar at this moment. So we'll see what's going to be going on from here on out. I would love to know your guys' comments and opinions in the comment section down below about this James Harden scenario. Because, like I said, it's a frustrating thing to kind of watch and see. It's a frustrating thing to kind of understand that I think James Harden could be a really good player. I think he could actually really be a top 10 player, top 5 even, if he really dedicated to the craft. But at the end of the day, he's not adapting his game, and he's going to go out the same way as Allen Iverson. He's going to go out the way as these guys who don't adapt, who don't change their game to fit what's currently going on. And it's getting frustrating at this point to see that James Harden is not really listening and paying attention to it. So, like I said, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys make of this story? I would love to know what you guys think of this whole scenario. But let's kind of move on to our next story, and we'll go to The Athletic for that one. But let me make sure my headsets are all kind of strapped in here, making sure that we're connected via Bluetooth. Let's connect. Hopefully it's connecting. Oh my goodness, don't do this. Okay, cool. Perfect. Let me change the desktop audio here. He just cares about money. This is, of course, coming from Tyrese. He just cares about money. He's a shooting guard. Charles Barkley when his career is over. I mean, I hope not. I hope that he can actually understand, like, look, I need to start stepping up my game. I need to start doing some things. But at the end of the day, what's kind of getting frustrating for me is just that I think he could be a really good player, but he's just not really, he's not trying to be that at this point. He's so much interested in many other things that it's actually disheartening to see what his career has become. So, we'll see what happens from here on out. And let me just change the audio really quick on here. Let's see here. Trying to change the audio on here, but it's not working. Alrighty. But let's move on to the next story at hand. I think there was some breaking news that we just got from here. No, just some not really breaking news. We'll talk about this sort of ranking system that ESPN has put together. But let's kind of go to The Athletic really quick and just look at different stories, if there are any different stories. I don't think there's really anything really that interesting at this point. We talk about Thompson, Steph Curry talks of contract extension players closer to 40%. Not really that much of news there. So I think the best thing to look at is, of course, kind of the rumors, kind of the hoops hype. Just kind of look at that. Open being traded to Philadelphia. I think another thing we talked about here, it's official that Al Horford, I believe, will be officially an Oklahoma City Thunder, which is kind of crazy to think that they really discarded Al Horford. I think he is probably one of the most underrated players in this league. If there was a way for Boston to re-sign him, I would do it. Because I would love for Al Horford to be on our team again. I think he added a dynamic that we miss. And I would love for him to kind of be on there and giving us that dynamic. But at the end of the day, it is what it is at this point. Let's see here if there's any other news. We got Kuminga. We talked about him yesterday. DeMarcus Cousins going to be going back. John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins. That's going to be a reunion. That's going to be interesting to kind of see. And let's see here. Let's go to... I guess they don't have my headset in here. That's cool. So we will be listening to... let's go with speakers, I guess. Properties. Oh, no, they do have my headset. Perfect. All right, perfect. Let's double check that the headset's in. All right, perfect. Sorry if you guys are hearing that loud. Just want to make sure that that is working. Alrighty, let's just kind of get into it. Kind of the story of the NBA's 100 through 51 players. This is, of course, the top 100 players of the NBA. The Warriors could go after him. Remember, they call it... Okay. Sean, I'll answer your question in just 1 second. Tyrese, the Warriors could go after him. Remember, they called... Yeah, I think they did when they realized that they had James, or when they had Klay Thompson healthy. But I just think that at this point, it's like you might as well just wait on it. You might as well not force a move, or just kind of force the situation at hand. You might as well just kind of relax a little bit and not really force trying to make moves at this point, because I think there's a lot of things that you can do that are different. And so I think that if I'm the Warriors, I'm not making any moves on James Harden. He's shown that he's not going to adapt his game at this point of his career, and so if he's not going to adapt his game, why would you want him on the team? And Sean, you said what are the expectations of the NBA season in COVID? So basically, let's look at the NBA COVID, kind of the COVID timeline. Kind of talk about this, of course, come from the Daily Mail. The NBA announced a new COVID-19 protocols for the upcoming season. Gosh dang it, I hate when this happens. Okay, fine. We'll turn off ad blocker for this website. Whatever. Yeah, whatever. Freaking trying to tell me to turn ad blocker off. Joke. But anyway, so it says here that they're announcing a protocol by banning players and coaches and some staff from going to bars, casinos, and restaurants. Penalties for teams in violation of COVID-19 protocols include fines, suspension, adjustment of loss of draft pick choices, and/or game forfeiture. The NBA finished the pandemic, obviously, that we talked about that. Now 29 teams will play in their home cities, while the Toronto Raptors will begin in Tampa, obviously due to the restrictions. And so we talk about here NBA players patronizing bars, casinos, or even restaurants during the upcoming season may end up costing their teams fines, forfeits, and even draft picks. Tier 1 and Tier 2 personnel, player coaches, staff, and some essential staff must avoid bars, lounges, clubs, even if food is served, most live entertainment or gaming venues, public gyms, spas, and pool areas. Also off limits are indoor gatherings of 15 or more people. Those rules apply to both when the teams are at home and when they are on the road. We also kind of talk about here The league has made it clear for the final protocols that if teams don't take the health and safety rules seriously, a serious fine will be paid the price. And so, we kind of talk here, protocol violations as a result could require the NBA to adjust the game schedule and otherwise impacts any other team subject to violating the team's penalties, which include, like I said, fines, suspensions, loss of draft picks. There's going to be a lot of things in this. The NBA also outlined its plan for administering the vaccine when it becomes available. The leagues and player union plan to discuss the possibility of requiring players and staff to take the vaccine when FDA deemed it safe. This could be needed to create additional protocols. So what it looks like, Sean, is that you basically cannot go to the bars. You basically can't go outdoors anywhere. Whether you're a player, whether you're essential staff, and it's just kind of looking like at this point that players just cannot do anything at this moment. Which I think the NBA is really going to hit home this part, because we saw that the NFL, the MLB, they were kind of a little bit relaxed on the rules. I would say they weren't as strict. Obviously, the NBA or the NFL or the MLB commissioner kind of threatened that the season would be canceled if people didn't step up their stuff. But what it's really looking like is that they're really trying to hold these players accountable, hold these coaching staffs accountable. That, look, I understand that you guys miss this stuff. I understand that this is kind of the situation at hand. But at the moment, you just can't be doing these things. The gym one, I'm a little confused on. But that's just my kind of personal opinion that I will say about that. But I do agree with some of these other places. But at the end of the day, these players need to be a lot smarter. You're playing for more than just yourselves. You're basically, if you guys can't play a game, you're forfeiting money. And these owners don't want to lose money at this point. So if you're going to break protocol and you're one of these like off the bench kind of fringe players that is just barely making it by on the team, you better make sure that you're not screwing up, because if you do screw up, you're gone. We kind of saw this from Daniel House. They said, you know what? Goodbye. See ya. Even though, he broke COVID protocol rules, it's just one of those things that you need to make sure that players take this seriously, because at the end of the day, the only thing that it really hurts is it hurts the people around you. It doesn't hurt anybody else. Like, it could hurt you as well, because you're not playing. You may not get that money. But at the end of the day, it is frustrating to see that these guys are not going to be taking it that seriously. I hope that they do. Obviously, James Harden is not. So I'll be interested to see if he's going to get fined at all. But maybe because he did it before, maybe that doesn't count. I don't know. It's just getting to a point where I'm getting frustrated with James Harden, but more so is that, in order for these games to continue, you got to make sure that all these players are testing COVID free. And you can't really force a bubble, because we're not seeing in the NFL. We didn't really see it in the MLB. But at the end of the day, we'll see what happens as the league continues to kind of go on and further develop, and see what happens. Because I think at the end of the day, people need to be responsible, especially in the NBA, when you have, if not thousands of people relying on you, not just like people watching you, more so people that have a job there, the athletic trainers, the chefs, the nutritionists, like all those people that really make the players go round and make them, the players that they are today. That to me is like, you're going to cost them money and you're going to cost them a job. And it's like, you know what? I would say that we would hire you. I would say that we would pay you, but unfortunately we have too many COVID cases that we can't really use you at this moment. So we're going to have to say goodbye. And that's something that I don't want to see happen to people that have their jobs there at the NBA. So we'll see what happens there. And then Tyrese, to kind of go to your question as I kind of went to Sean's, man, this is looking like, I think this is going to be Lakers back-to-back. I think Lakers might even have a three-peat in their hands, depending on what happens with Giannis at this point. So we'll see what goes on in that situation. But nevertheless, let's kind of look at the scenario of the top 100 players in the NBA this coming season. Of course, this is of ESPN's sort of, I would say, what they think. And so let's kind of discuss, obviously, whoops, I'm not sure why Football Americano was there. No, sorry, not Football Americano, but the European football. But let's look at number 100, and we'll kind of go in maybe 25 increments, depending on how long this takes. Let's see. Joe Harris at number 100. I think this is too low. I think Sean can attest to this. I think Joe Harris is probably one of the best three-point shooters we have in this league. I think that him at number 100 is actually really low compared to a lot of people that I see on this list. And so I'm not really a big fan of him being at 100. I think he deserves to be at least in the 70s, as he is a very impactful player. There's a reason why he signed that 4-year, $75 million contract extension. Like, they didn't just re-sign him because he's a good player. They didn't re-sign him just because, he's a nice guy. They re-signed him because he has a skill that he brings to the table, and I think that his skill is very vital. And he does it a lot better than I think a lot of these people in this league. And so I think for me, Joe Harris definitely deserves to be more than just the top 100 player. Number 99, Marcus Morris Sr. I am a little bit curious as to see why he is this low. I think that he is someone that could be a little bit higher, but of course this is coming from the perspective of this season. I think this one to me is just garbage. I mean, Otto Porter Jr., he got paid the money. It is what it is. But to be ranked number 98 in the league, he has yet to live up to that contract that he signed back in the day. And he hasn't lived up to it. And there's a reason why the Wizards traded him to the Bulls. They didn't just trade him because they're like, oh, you know what? We love you, but we can't just pay you at this moment. They traded him because he just didn't deliver and didn't live up to the expectation of that big contract. So for him at number 98, I think that's way too high. He should be at number 100 in my opinion. Derek White, again, another player that is, really doing a better job at working at his game. I think that he's someone that probably is good where he's at this point. And so I think number 97 is probably right. Marcus Gasol at 96, probably about right. I think that he's going to be definitely a player that could help LeBron James and the Lakers winning their next championship. So we'll see what he can bring to the table. LaMarcus Aldridge at 95, Jarrett Allen at 94. We'll just kind of talk about them and I'll give my perspective. Ricky Rubio at 93. Probably about right. I think that he kind of fell off in my opinion. He had games where he was scoring 20 or more points last season. 14 games. I mean, that's just not a lot of games in my opinion. Mitchell Robinson at 92. Seth Curry at 91. A little bit too high in my opinion. Patrick Beverley at 90. Probably about right. Joe Ingles at 89. I thought he's probably a little bit higher. I know that this is based on this upcoming season, but I just don't agree with that. Jeremy Grant at number 88. Buddy Hield at 87 I think is a little bit too low. I understand that he was kind of behind and kind of went on the bench as a sixth man. But I still think that he deserves to be a higher rank than what he's at currently. Brook Lopez at 86. Probably about right. I think that he's kind of getting older, so he's probably about at the right position. Danilo Gallinari definitely improved over the last couple years, so at 85, I think that's a perfect number. I think John Collins, a little bit too low in my opinion. Probably should be in the 60s. Didn't really have the best of seasons, but still did a pretty good job in my opinion. DeJounte Murray, I just think that these Spurs players are getting a little bit disrespected. I mean, 82 for DeMar DeRozan. I'm not sure about that, man. I still think that he does a good job. I think he's a solid player. So to have him that low, it's just crazy to think because he was 46 at one point. John Wall, obviously not ranked, and this is, of course, coming to this season. He's hurt, so you can't really give him a grade, in my opinion. I think that he probably will be a little bit higher than 81, but it won't be by much. And then you got Josh Richardson. He's going to be working with the Dallas Mavericks, so we'll see if he can step his game up, see if he becomes a better player, and it kind of just becomes that catch-and-shoot guy that we're looking to be seeing. We got Dennis Schroeder at 79. I think he should be a little bit higher. I think that last year he kind of proved to everybody that he deserves a higher ranking. 78, Aaron Gordon, probably about right. I think that he needs to start growing and developing his game. Right now, he's kind of, doesn't shoot the ball particularly well, so I think he needs to develop that jumper. So hopefully he's in the gym this offseason really cooking and working on that jumper as we speak. Kadavius Caldwell-Pope at number 77. I think that's a little too low. I thought that he was probably one of their better players for the LA Lakers. So if I had to rank him and put him somewhere, I'd probably put him in the 50s in my opinion. Trez at 76. I probably think that he's probably 72. Probably won't have his impact that he did in the Clippers just because he's on a new team. He's going to be playing for the Lakers, so maybe his role will be a little bit diminished. But at the end of the day, I still think that he will be a good player for this league. So we'll see what happens in this instant. But if I had to say, 72 is still a little too low for me. Duncan Robinson, I think, should be a little bit higher. I think his 3-point percentage kind of proved to you that he is someone that definitely could, grow and develop. And I just think that people kind of disrespect him a little bit because, like I said, I think that he could be a player that could be in the top 40, honestly, when it's all said and done in terms of the best player of the season. Because I think that his 3-point shooting, and the things that he brings to the table, I just think that he's going to be really good in this league. And the fact that he's 75 is kind of crazy. Miles Turner at 74. I think that, I think that it's a really missed opportunity for Miles Turner last season, with Sabonis out, to really take control of it and have it be his team. And so we'll see if Miles Turner can grow and develop to be some sort of a star center in this league. It'll definitely be a wait and see approach. We, of course, have Bojan Bogdanovic, not to be replaced with Bogdan or to be confused with Bogdan. Bojan, 48 ranked last season. Still recovering from an injury, so it kind of makes sense as to why he's 73. PJ Tucker, obviously at 72, is going to be interesting to see if he will be in Houston still. I know that he's looking to kind of move out and become his own man. And so we'll see what happens with PJ Tucker. 82 was a little too low for me last season. I even think 72 is a little too low. I think he should be in the 60s. Mike Conley, as much as I love him, he's definitely kind of disappointed me in Utah right now, currently in Salt Lake City. I thought that he could have done a much better job, but obviously I just think the injuries were kind of his biggest factor, and I think that he could have been, I think he could have helped the Jazz a little bit more in the playoffs, but we'll see how he grows and develops. My goodness, I'm yawning all over the place. Number 70 is Steven Adams. I think that he is someone that is probably ranked about right. I understand that he is getting older, so I don't think that he's definitely going to be like a really good player. Kind of get to an all-star level. I think that that's kind of done. But he's definitely still a solid player in this league, and he could definitely hold his own when it comes to being a top 100 player in this league. 69 for D'Angelo Russell. I think this is just due to the fact that he really didn't get a good start. He started out in Warriors. After the season with the Nets, he moved to the Warriors, and it just didn't work. It just wasn't a great fit. I understand that the Warriors really signed him to kind of be a a player as a placeholder. He's not really there. He's there for trade bait. He's not really there to add or subtract anything from your team. So I'd love to see kind of the situation at hand as it pertains to D'Angelo Russell. I think that he actually could be a good player. So I want to see him kind of grow and develop. Josh Richardson at 13 points per game, 3.2 rebounds. Brandon Clark. Are you trying to say that Brandon Clark maybe Brandon Clark is ranked higher, Sean? I mean, we haven't seen 51 through 50 through like 1 yet. So I don't think they've done the whole list yet, Sean. I think this is just 20. It's just 100 through 51 at this moment. I don't think they've done the whole list yet. So maybe Clark might be higher, but we'll see. But I think, Clark does have a case to be in the top 100 at least for players. But like I said, D'Angelo Russell at 69, still a little too low for me, but it is what it is. Eric Bledsoe should definitely be a lot. I don't even think he should be on this list. He was a disappointment last year. I think you're just heated, Sean. You're a heated Grizzly fan. But Eric Bledsoe definitely does not deserve to be like this high on this list. 67. I think he should be bumped all the way to the 80s. He was just such a terrible fit. And if you're going to do this based on fit, based on injury, I just think that Eric Bledsoe needs to be off this list, or at least maybe towards the end of the list, because I think that there are much better players that were up above that could definitely fill in the role of where Eric Bledsoe is at this moment. Serge Ibaka definitely should be ranked a little higher. I think Ibaka made a really good he was really good for the playoffs, and when he played us in Boston, I thought that he definitely should have been a player that is ranked a little bit higher. So it's kind of interesting to see that he was not ranked last year and that he is now ranked 66. And I think that he should be just a little bit higher in my opinion. Blake Griffin obviously is probably going to move down the list because I just think that unless he goes to another team that's not Detroit, I just think he's always going to kind of be in that position where it's like, yeah, he might be good, but, he's always battling injuries. He's one of those players that I was just never sold on. And I just think that he's just kind of done in his career at this point. He doesn't really want to continue and grow and develop his game. He seems content with where he's at and just doesn't grow and develop. And I think he's just in Detroit right now, kind of collecting checks and just, oh my God, excuse me, working on his comedy sketches and comedy skits and whatever else he's working on. But it's not basketball, I'll tell you that much. Kevin Love at 64. Just hurt too much that I think he can make an impact. I think we'll be looking to see if Kevin Love will get traded. I could see him potentially getting traded to a contending team. We'll see what team that is. Maybe Boston. I think this would be another perfect kind of trade. I know he's getting paid a lot of money, but I would actually like Kevin Love on my team. He doesn't have to play the whole time, but I think that he could actually do a really good job for us. And I think that if he was in Boston, he would definitely do a lot better job. TJ Warren at 63. We know that he was the MVP of the bubble. We'll see if he can make whatever moves that he did in the bubble translate to the regular season. That's going to be kind of the question mark going into TJ Warren's season, is can he replicate what he did in the bubble outside of the bubble and do it for a long period of stretches? Because the bubble was only like, what, 20-something games, maybe less, 13 games. And so we'll see if Warren can kind of grow and develop and be a much better player. We got Bogdanovich, obviously going to be playing with the Atlanta Hawks this year, ranked 74. I think Bogdanovich is definitely going to be a good wing stretch defender as well as a three-point shooter. I think that he's going to be a great player for the Atlanta Hawks, and I think that this was a great signing if I am the Atlanta Hawks. And Kevin Love is not going to the Lakers. That's just too much money. I think Kevin Love makes like an absurd amount of money. Let's look at Kevin Love's salary really quick. Kevin Love's salary, $28 million. So he's making way too much money for the Lakers to even try and sign him. So we'll see if the LA Lakers, sorry, not the LA Lakers, but maybe the Boston Celtics could use that as that trade exception that we got from Gordon Hayward and kind of use it on Kevin Love. We got Bertrands, who was not ranked last year, but Bertrands was hitting the green light. They rewarded him with a new contract, and I think we'll see if Bertrands can really develop, with Danny Avesia there as well. That's going to be an interesting kind of scenario to kind of see if Bertrands can kind of do that. And then we got Robert Covington at 60, Tyler Hero at 59. I still think it's a little too high for Tyler Hero unless he's really going to be that dude in terms of is he going to be, in the top, in the top echelon of all these other guys that are in the league. Goran Dragic at 58, obviously not ranked last year. Tobias Harris at 57. Zach LaVine at 56. Christian Wood at number 55. Lonzo Ball at 54. I think this is probably the most controversial one. We saw Ball kind of, absolutely kill it at the beginning of the season. And then once the bubble hit, he was a different player. I think the Pelicans will love the Ball that they got. I think they're going to get the Ball that they got in March. I think that he's just that good. I think people kind of discredit him because he's not giving you the flashy numbers. He's not giving you the stats that you would want as it pertains to a superstar player or like a number 2 overall pick. But I still think he's going to be a good player, and we will see if teams will give him a chance. I think they should give him a chance, but we'll see if that kind of sticks, and we'll see if that is going to be the situation at hand when it comes there. But let's see what else we can kind of talk about. Continuing, Yusuf Nurkic at 53, DeAndre Ayton at 52, Michael Porter Jr. at 51. I think Michael Porter Jr. will definitely make a tremendous leap. He'll make tremendous strides as it pertains to his game, how he grows and develops. Michael Porter Jr. is a guy that I could see him kind of getting in there. I think he's going to be the third emerging superstar for the Denver Nuggets, along with Bol kind of giving people a surprise. So I definitely see it. I definitely see that happening. So we'll see if that's going to continue to be the situation. We'll see if that continues to be the case as we continue to look at these rookies and what is going on for their situation at hand. And if you guys have any questions or comments, make sure to put that in the comment section, and I will make sure to read those off and to kind of talk about those at hand, especially if you're here on YouTube. I love to kind of answer questions for the last 5 minutes before we sign out of here. Our daily show, like I said, The Charge, episode number 2, we talked about LeBron James being hurt by Kyrie Irving's comments. We also talked about James Harden once again. And like I said, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys make of all the stories that we talked about? And also, what do you guys think of what's going to be going on for the NBA? Are you guys excited? Are you guys not excited? That's going to be what I want to ask you guys in the comment section. And if you guys are watching this post-stream, what you guys think of this all down below. You know, LeBron and Vogel unlikely for the preseason opener. We'll see if that is going to be a fine or if that's going to be okay just because it's preseason. We'll see if that's the case. But let's go to Hoops Hype for one more hurrah. See if there's any sort of situation. Gordon Hayward with the sneaker deal, it looks like. Not sure how he also finessed a sneaker deal as well. We got his new shoes out here. Let's look at Gordon Hayward's new shoes. You know what? You know, what do we make of these sneakers? Maybe that's what we'll do on Friday as kind of like a chill stream day. We'll kind of go over maybe the top signature sneakers for athletes right now that is currently out and seeing if that is, you know, seeing if which ones you like, which ones you dislike. Because I'd love to know your guys' opinion because I have my own. If I can find them over here, let me grab them really quick. And just kind of show you kind of the heat that I'm rocking with for this kind of, I would say, bubble or kind of like this off season for me. I'm rocking with the Kobe 5s, the EBYL edition. These are probably one of my favorite shoes to play in when I can play. Obviously, you know, with the restrictions coming back into place in the greater Seattle area, it's the only chance you get is outside, and I'm definitely not taking these outside. But I do want the Grinches for the Kobe's. But what do you guys make of the Gordon Hayward shoes? Are you guys a big fan of those? I'm definitely not. They look okay, but they look like kind of a dad shoe at this point. Like if your dad was to play in a pickup Sunday men's league. No, those weren't under my bed. I have them on the side because I worked out probably a couple hours ago. So those are probably... that's the situation at hand. But yeah, these kind of look like dad shoes. Let me move this here so you guys can see a little bit better. Let me kind of make it a little bit smaller so everything fits on the screen. Yeah, I don't know what to make of these. I think that these kind of look like dad shoes in my opinion. So let me know what you guys think. And then on Friday, we'll be going over design, kind of signature shoes for athletes and kind of seeing which shoes we like, which shoes we dislike. But let's kind of continue reading on to this. Looks like there is going to be a G League bubble. You know, there's combining, the Wizards and Pelicans are discussing the possibility of combining their G League teams. That's going to be an interesting one to kind of see that they're going to merge the teams. I mean, are players going to get cut? Like, that's going to be kind of an interesting situation for that, for those teams. Like, I don't know. I'm really curious to know and understand, like, the G League, like, what is going to happen to those players. I know that there's some players that are two-way contract guys. You know, are their seasons canceled? Like, where are they going to practice? I just feel like there's a lot of situations and scenarios that's really going to hurt the league at this point. So we'll see what happens as it pertains to that. We'll see what happens there. But other than that, I think that is going to do it here for the channel, unless you guys have some comments or questions or concerns. But other than that, like I said, guys, we are probably going to cut it here for the stream. Again, I want to thank everybody once again for joining us here on the channel. Hopefully the music isn't too loud. Hopefully it's kind of like in the background chilling. But I really want to thank you guys once again for tuning into the charge, for tuning into the live stream. Obviously, episode number 2. Really appreciate you guys. If you guys are interested in donating, hit the donation button. You can donate anytime. You don't have to donate when I'm on the stream. And like I said, I'm not forcing you guys to donate. I'm not pressuring you guys to donate. What I am pressuring you guys to do, though, is hit that subscribe button if you are not subscribed to the channel. The Charge at YouTube. Let's kind of get to the starting screen really quick. The Charge is the channel name for this, so make sure to hit The Charge on YouTube and subscribe to that channel as we continue to grow and develop. We also have a store as well. Let me kind of pull it up really quick. And you guys can kind of see the store that we have at hand. And I also kind of talk about, we have merch as well, kind of talk about that. And I'll pull this up for you guys. This is the merch that we have. We have some shirts. If you guys are interested in some shirts with the Charge logo. We have mugs. We have sweatshirts, and of course we have face masks as well if you guys are interested in buying a face mask. We have a lot of things here on the Charge, so if you guys are interested in the Charge live stream, that is what is going to be on here. Of course, we have kind of the shows that we kind of have here. We're live on Twitch at the moment. You can contact me. So if you guys are interested in any of this stuff, again, it is... I will put that link in the YouTube comment section. Let me pull up my YouTube page and put that in the live stream chat if you guys are interested in that. Let's see here. Where are we at? Let's get to default view. Put this in here if you guys are interested in some merch. The link is in there. It's also in the description down below as well. If you guys are interested of any of my videos, that is where you can get the merch if you guys are interested. But other than that, and then I think on Facebook, it's also linked there as well. And then on Twitch, if you guys are watching on Twitch, it's also there as well. But anyway, guys, thank you once again for joining me here on The Charge, giving the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. And guys, like I said, really appreciate you guys coming on here on the Daily Live Show, talking some sports, talking some basketball, talking what's going on with this James Harden situation, the LeBron James comments. And on Friday, we'll be definitely talking about some sneaker releases. We'll talk about that even more. But anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie. Like I said, thank you once again for joining me here on the channel, giving the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. We'll catch you guys on the next live stream, and we'll see you guys relatively soon. Peace.
Got money on the mind, no fear in my eyes. Avalanche is fly, so it's time to rise. I'm just going forward, no time for going back. What's the mission? Destroy the Mako reactors. They brought it on themselves, so we gotta take them out. All in, but we might not all make it out. Ending the shin run, closing the chapter. The mission, destroy the Mako reactors. I never got their names, and I didn't really care to. I just want the money, so the mission I adhere to is simple. I join some resistance click, blow up the reactor, then we split, that's it. And they go on about saving the planet, all the precious resources we've been taking for granted. But I'm doing me. It's not that I don't understand it, but I'm trying to carry the